Hello, welcome back to Book Nerd TV. Today I've got a book haul for you. It's been a while since I've done one, so here we go. My first book of my book haul is a book that I've talked about in the past. I listened to the book the first time around. It's an Audible book that I still own, but I've wanted, since I listened to this book several years ago, I've wanted an actual hard copy of this book. And if you know me or if you've watched this channel even a little bit, then you already know that the book is The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson. You know that I've loved this book. This is the book that I recommend most people read if they're looking for something to read and they enjoy nonfiction. Then Wilkerson's book is the book that I recommend. And if you've not read Warmth of Other Suns yet, you need to read it. If you have read Warmth of Other Suns and you want something else in that similar vein, read Caste. If you read Caste but you haven't read Warmth, then read Warmth. You know what I'm saying? Just read this book and read the other book as well. I didn't mention this at the beginning of the book haul, but I'm pretty much splitting the book haul into two sections. First section that we've already started on is going to be backlist / used books. So Warmth is a backlist book and it is a book that I got used. The next book up is in the same vein. It is a backlist book. It is a used book, and also it is a book written by a Pulitzer Prize winner. And so the next author up is Toni Morrison with A Mercy. Toni Morrison, Pulitzer Prize winning author, not for this book, but is a Pulitzer Prize winning author. And so A Mercy is about a landowner, slaveholder in the 1680s in Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. And it is also about one of the young women that he enslaves. It is a short book, so I'm hoping to get to it this year. You never know with me, you never know. Maybe it's a 2022 book, maybe it's a 2023 book, maybe it's a 2025 book, we'll see. Third book of the haul, Pulitzer Prize winning author, used book, backlist book. There's a theme in the first three books, and that is Postcards by Proulx. Now, Proulx didn't win the Pulitzer for this book. She won it for another book. It was a different book from the books that I usually read, and so I think that is one of the reasons I enjoyed it. Of course, it was a Pulitzer Prize winning book, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But at any rate, really enjoyed Shipping News, and I'm hoping Postcards will give me some of that same flavor. So Postcards is about a man who kills his lover and is sort of becomes isolated from this already isolated farm family. And it's kind of this story about sort of isolation and alienation. That's probably not the book to be reading right now, but it was for sale at the library where they do the book sale. And this is an author that I have enjoyed in the past, and I thought, no, I'll just give it a try. Breaking the trend that I've established with the first three books is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. This is a coming-of-age book in Afghanistan right before the revolution of the Russian invasion, and I think everyone's heard about The Kite Runner. I don't know if this was ever a movie or anything, but I know when it was published 10 years ago, it's been 10 years. Well, actually, it's been over 10 years. It's been 20 years? Oh my gosh, it's been 20 years because this was published in 2003. So, so when the book first came out in 2003, it was just a really big, popular book, popular, important book. And so this edition is the 10th anniversary edition. But again, it's a backlist book and it's used. And so this 10th anniversary edition is already 10 years old. So I hope to get into this book and hope to enjoy it. I've never read anything by Khaled Hosseini, so I'm hoping that this will turn out to be a good read. So the next trend that's developing is backlist, used, and bought from the book sale at my local library. So that's three. And the next book following that trend is the Han Solo Trilogy, which is, of course, Star Wars novels. I don't know if the Solo movie was based on these three novels or novellas, I guess, at all. But Crispin wrote these three novels and they're compiled into the one edition. And I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this book. I just thought I'd take a chance. Again, it was cheap. It was very ridiculously cheap. So you might as well say free, really. Back in the day, I read a couple of the the solo Star Wars novellas or mass paperbacks. So I read some of those back in the day. I can't even begin to remember which books those might have been. And when I saw this, I thought, well, why not get back into it and see if you can get back into it. And so that's why, but also this was published in, oh my gosh, this was published in 1998. This will be a collector's item someday, and I'm just gonna hang on to it because I believe in the midichlorian. Okay, never mind. And so the last one in my trend of backlist used, purchased at the book sale from the library is the Heris Serrano series. So this is a compilation, once again, of 3 different novellas, probably novels at the time that they were put out, by Elizabeth Moon. Now, I got this book when I saw it. Well, one, I just like the cover. It's a pretty cool cover. And I saw this and I thought to myself, this might be a really good read for Space Opera September. I can read the entire book, or I can just read one of the books contained within this book to meet my requirements, hopefully meet most of my requirements for Space Opera September. So I'm ready to go. I'm planning ahead. So of course that must mean I'll win. And so the last group of books are new, front list, and purchased by means other than not being used or from a library. All right, so first up is the Sword of Kaigen. I cannot remember who I watched talk about this book. I want to say it was Jess Owens, but it might not be Jess Owens. And I love her channel, by the way. And if you don't watch her, I don't know why you don't, because you should. She was talking about how she enjoyed the Poppy War, and that kind of morphed into her talking about the Sword of Kaijen, or Kaigen. So forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And I thought this might be interesting because she said it was kind of a book about sort of an older woman doing kick butt things in this novel. And I want to read stories about women doing those kind of adventurous things in fantasy novels. And so I thought, well, hey, she likes it, maybe I'll like it as well. And so I purchased it. Next up is Amari and the Night Brothers. Now, I know I listened to Jess Owens talk about this book on her channel. She was just like, why don't you have this book already? You need to get this book. You need to read this book. So I take direction well. I got the book. I'm going to read the book. Hopefully this year, again, hopefully this is one of the 2022 reads. I promise nothing, but I do have it. I'm gonna read it, and isn't this cover the most gorgeous thing? I feel like I don't really have to talk about what the book is about because I've seen people sort of talking about this book, but it's clearly about Amari, and the reports are that her brother's dead, but she doesn't necessarily believe that her brother's dead, and then she finds this briefcase, and sort of once she does that and sort of tracks back to the owners of the briefcase, her adventure begins. And so I'm excited to read this book again. One of these books where it's fantasy, and it can sort of take you away from your everyday, if your everyday is a little stressful, or you need a break in your reality. And so I'm hoping that this is what Amari and the Night Brothers will give for me. Last but certainly not least is one of my favorite authors right now. Okay, no, it's not N.K. Jemisin. Calm down. It's P. Djeli Clark. And so here we are with his latest novel, Master of Djinn. I read I listened to or read on Kindle one of the short stories related to the P. Djeli Clark Djinn universe. I don't know if that's what they call it, but that's what I'm going to call it. So I've already read a short story in the Djinn universe. There's another book that I want to get that is also located in the Djinn universe. Well, it's not a book. It's another short story. I think you can actually get a hard copy. I'm hoping you can. Or if you can't, I'll just get it on the Kindle. I feel certain that I will enjoy Master of Djinn. Now, I'm not promising to read this one in 2022. This one I may have to hold off and read in 2023, right? This novel takes place in the same universe as A Dead Djinn and Cairo. And if you haven't read any of P. Djeli Clark's work before, I would say start with A Dead Djinn and Cairo, and if that doesn't get you sort of into the universe, I don't know what will. This is one of those books that, you know, even if you don't want to buy it, if you want to, I was going to say rent it, even if you want to borrow it from your library, electronic or hard copy, go ahead and do it and take the chance, because I think you will be enchanted with the story setting of Egypt in the 1920s, 30s, but reimagined, a different timeline, if you will, where Djinn and angels and all sorts of magical happenings are occurring in Cairo or in Egypt at that time. So before I leave, I'll let you know that I am reading a lot, mostly because I have to, because I'm participating in the Booktube Prize. And so I'm moving through, I think I've read three books. Yes, I finished 3 books. I'm finishing one. And I just started another one that so far is pretty interesting. Really liking the way the writing is going. You never know what you're going to get when you participate and when you get these books and read these books. I am excited about the one I'm reading now, and I think that'll be for sure one that I do a video on once this portion of the Booktube Prize has completed. It's been hard for me to make a video recently. I'm not sure why, but you know, sometimes the spirit is there and sometimes it's not. And by spirit, I don't mean anything religious. It's a saying. But yeah, so if you like the video, remember to leave me a like. If you enjoy any of this, go back and look at some of the other videos that I've done. And if you like 1 or 2 other ones, I suggest that you subscribe. How about that? Well, that's all I have. I'll see you in the next one. A Star Wars.